Good morning, everybody. Hello, and welcome to our fast track masterclass about turning leads into sales, how to use a CRM. We're going to be talking about what is a CRM, how do you build high performance sales pipelines with a CRM, how do you, what the do's and don'ts, all of that. It is a fast masterclass. It's a half hour long, that's all. So we're going to get right to it if that's okay. And right away, I'm going to just introduce my colleague, Joelle Lazzarato, who's here. She's the head of marketing for IBT Online. So I'm super excited that she's joined with me today to talk about this. So Joelle is going to be talking a lot about the content that you will need, aligning sales and marketing teams, what segmentation means, all of those things. Just a quick word also on who IBT Online is. We're what's called a full stack digital marketing agency. That means we do everything that is possible online, which means a lot. These days, it means a lot of things like GEO, AI, SEO, and other things concerning LLMs and lots of other initials. It also means a lot of things like avatars and videos and more content that engages in a visual way. If you want to learn more about us, check out our website. As I said, this is a fast one, a fast masterclass. We have a lot to cover, and in just 30 minutes, we're going to say, we've divided up into 6 sections. What does it actually do? What does a CRM do? Then we're going to talk about how you manage leads and opportunities. Automated nurturing. What is automated nurturing? How do you get automated nurturing? Pipelines and what are pipelines and how do you make them visible? Sales and marketing alignment. That's getting the so-called smarketing magic in your company. And then we'll have some Q&A and next steps as well. So let's just start. CRMs. Joelle, you're fantastic at initials. What is a CRM?
Got to love an acronym to work in marketing, so then I agree with you between everything we do. So CRM is one of my favorites. So a CRM, or a client relationship management system, or relationship manager, so to speak. And what is a CRM? A CRM is a tool, but also a solution, but also sometimes the issue that prevents companies from growing. So we see this day to day. A lot of companies are very good at generating leads. They run ads, they go to events, trade show, they have gated resources on their website. But the moment they enter any system, if they have a system, even a lot of them might not even have it, they just lose them before they can convert. So I've dug a little bit into the data of this, and we can see that 79% of what you would consider a marketing lead, so someone that's interacted with you, never converts to sales. 79%. You've got to generate a lot of leads to convert, to really grow your bottom line. But also 50% of the reported data says the sales time is wasted on unproductive prospecting. You're reaching out too soon. They don't have the right context. They're not the right people. They're not the right decision maker. So all of this really then leads to 10 times lift when the contact happens in the first hour. So when someone gets in touch with your business, if you get in touch with them within the first hour, you have 10 times the opportunities to convert with them. So really the real question is, what system actually fixes this? And this is where a CRM comes in. Quick resolution, making sure everyone gets to see your content, gets to get the right context. And when the sales team or this marketing team makes contact, they are ready to have that conversation. So this is where the power of a good and also well-managed CRM, because you could be using the best tool, but if you're not using it to its full potential, and we'll get into that a little bit later, then again, those leaks start to happen, and then you can only, tap one at a time. So there are a few things that we'll cover in today's masterclass, from alignment between teams. So having joint goals between your marketing, your sales, and your leadership, but also knowledge. Having a clear understanding of who your buyer persona is, what the journey looks like, and that brings the relevancy, making sure that you always communicate the right message at the right time, whatever matters to them at that specific point, in their journey with you. And then measurement. Those of you who have worked with me in the past perhaps know that I'm all about data. So measurement, providing ROI along the way can only happen if you're tracking what you're doing. So here in this case, Susanna, what does a CRM actually do? Perhaps I'll let you answer this question because I know we spent a lot of time debating this.
Oh, okay. A CRM. I've put there one source of truth. It is the place. I know it sounds a bit corny, one source of truth, but basically, if you have one place where you have your data about your prospects, your leads, your clients, where they are, so everybody in the company can refer to that. There isn't scattered bits of Post-its and people's own Excel spreadsheets meandering around the company. That's the worst way. So, a CRM at its very simplest is a shared data, a shared memory. So every interaction, every touch point is registered in one place, and we all have access to that. So, the killer phrase for a CRM is always, if it's not in the CRM, it didn't happen. Yes, I did make that call to that follow-up. Did you record it? Did anybody know what that call was? Did anyone? No. Well, then, then it's a lost call. So there's several parts. There's several sort of, big roles that you have in a CRM. There's the contacts, it's your sort of your database. That's everybody in the company. There's your deals, your deal flows. Each live opportunity, which has a value and a stage. So a value, how much is that deal going to be? And a stage, is it at early, late, about to be signed? Where is that? Activity is how you're engaging in a marketing way. Have they downloaded something? It's an email. Is there a call? Have you logged that meeting? And then insight, that's the sort of layer which tells you about data flow, which, what's actually working, what's happening. Did they click on that one and opened it, or did they ignore that one? Okay, then let's move that way. So, CRMs are not spreadsheets. They are not an address book, and they're not email marketing. There are lots of CRMs in the market. There's lots of things that we look at in CRMs. We happen to choose HubSpot as an example. Why? Oh, straight back to you, Joelle. Back. How about that?
Thank you, Susanna. And again, just wanted to iterate here, IBT Online is a HubSpot, very proud HubSpot partner. We've been for over a decade, but today's, masterclass is very much about sharing knowledge and discussing educational content. I don't want this to come across as a, sales pitch for the platform, but I just wanted to bring up why HubSpot is a very good tool to help businesses grow and thrive with exactly what you described, Susanna. Not a spreadsheet, is not an email marketing tool, is a lot more than that. And what HubSpot provides is an all-in-one platform. You have marketing, sales, service, you can create content and remix content all under one roof. Again, going back to the leak analogy, that there's no duct taping across different platforms and then data leaks, and then you don't know what actually worked, who sent the email, who responded. Is also accessible. So it starts with three tiers. So you can start small, you can get used to it. We appreciate that bringing a new tool sometimes can be a big, a big habit shift for a number of teams. So you can start small, but then it really does allow you to scale to really, get to enterprise use and be very, very customizable to the way your business works. It also provides a lot of automation. There is workflow engines, really is where all of what we say the conversion magic happens, and then we'll get into that a little bit more in a moment. But is also a very widely adopted platforms with over, I believe, over 250,000 as of this month customers worldwide. So again, there are concepts that transfer easy. There is very good support. They host events. So again, we've been partners of HubSpot and have been using it ourselves for a number of years and are very proud to support a number of our customers. But again, I just wanted to take a moment to show you one of our collaterals, and again, why we've chosen HubSpot as our examples for today's masterclass. So I hope this will There's always a moment where these will
Yeah,
play.
videos in the masterclass. Always a little bit of whoops. Oh, there we go. Whoops.
That's with me. Apologies. Let's try again. I hope everyone can hear it. I can hear it fine, but
yeah,
I think the sound is coming through. All right. Fantastic.
Okay. Thank you very much, Joelle. Let's now talk about managing leads and opportunities for that. So how do you manage leads? What are they? How do you go forward on that? So I think what I'd like to do is sort of stretch that out in terms of a CRM. One typically bunches it into different sort of silos, but there's a clear passageways between those silos. There's a connected silos in a sense. We break them down typically into 5 stages. The visitor, there's a cookie on your website, but that's all you have to know that someone was there. It's anonymous. They came, they left a little cookie bot and things like that. That's it. But you even then they're wandering around on your website. There's a potential that they then become a lead. A lead is someone who has filled out a form or they've downloaded something. They've in one way or another, they've identified themselves. Right? Then when it becomes a known person, then it is a lead. An MQL is a marketing qualified lead, an MQL. So the marketing department basically says, yep, this one fits our profile. This one is a buyer persona in our ideal corporate profile. So it is a BP, a buyer persona in an ICP, in an ideal, and we'll get to those terms in a second. As marketing and sales are all about little, acronyms. Excuse me. Sorry about that. An SQL is a sales qualified lead. Sales have basically said, yes, marketing, I agree with this. And now I'm getting onto that deal and I'm working that deal as well. So the MQL goes to the SQL as a clear, both accepting for that. And then it becomes a customer closed deal and gets passed on to the client success team, like us there, client success team. So, in a sense, each stage, each one of those silos, each one of those stores has clear entry and exit points that moves them along this line. And how do you do that? You do that with these 3 tools: lead scoring, segmentation, owner, and next steps. So owner, basically. So lead scoring, segmentation, and ownership. And that's basically what we're going to be talking about for the rest of this masterclass. In lead scoring, for example, you apply numbers. You say, we need to reach out to this person. If you become a lead, well, how much, how interested were you? Did you download one little thing, or did you 10? Did you spend 10 minutes on the website or an hour? That you can score someone in different ways in that sense. So you score who they are and their behavior. There's 2 parts to a score. Segmentation lets you segment, it lets you slice the onion, and the thinner you slice that onion, the better for you. So you need to know for your company, here are the types of industries we serve. Here are the subsectors of that. Here are the people within those sectors, and those are all different segments. And the closer, and the geographic regions, of course, too. Each time you can identify and segment that closer, that's going to give you personalization. That's something we're going to talk about as well. And then ownership. Ownership means there's things don't fall between the gaps. Ownership means that you actually follow up. You don't lose the lead. That someone's taking responsibility and accountability with the whole thing. So this structure allows things not to fall through the cracks. Okay, so that's the really important thing. Before we talk about sort of automation and things like that, because that a lot, today you've got to have this automated. Before we get into the automation side, a quick word on some of the other terms. What is a buyer persona and what is this ideal corporate profile? Your ideal corporate profile is the company that buys from you. It's the type of company that your business serves. Okay, so if you're a B2B, then you serve, and there could be different types of companies. If you serve 4 or 5 different industries, there will be 4 or 5 different ICPs, definitely. The buyer persona is a physical person. It's the person who signs the check, a person who agrees agrees the statement of work. I'm going to give you an example. It's an old example, but I just love it so much. Zipcar have in their mission statement that they serve people who are urban dwelling, educated, techno-savvy customers who worry about the environment and future generations and so on. So the picture they have there is their buyer persona. The picture they have there, people holding plants, they're environmentally sensitive, and they've got a car, obviously from Zipcar, and they're urban and they're going back to college. It says in the Instagram thing that says there, are you going back leading up to college this weekend and so on. So all of these things are unified into their buyer persona. When you look at buyer personas, then you're going to find out, okay, where are they on their journey, and are they in different places, and is my buyer persona in Florida different from my buyer persona in Maine or California or Canada or Tokyo? In what way are they different? Are there multiple buyer personas, just like there are multiple ICPs, ideal corporate profiles? So are my distributors buyer personas? So you got to work all this out and say, these are all the different streamlines that we have, and then reflect, speak to each one and reflect your assets, your downloads, your emails, your conversations, your outreaches to those buyer personas. We won't go into this much more. Just one little example. The image you have on the right is an image of L'Oreal USA. And in the next slide here, you've got L'Oreal Mexico. Subtle difference, but there is a difference. And L'Oreal figured that out and then put those together. Enough talking. Joelle, talk us through segmentation.
Oh, Susanna, that's exactly building on what you were just describing. To me, I would say, segmentation is, the superpower of a well-run CRM. As you said, the more you can segment, the more accurate your messaging will be, the more clearly it will resonate with them. You have one big database, but then you have different industry, different size companies, but also different roles. I make an example here, your CEO versus your international sales rep versus your more operational managers. They all try to solve different problems. They have different roles in the decision, for example, of adopting a new tool like HubSpot. So all of them will play an important part, but all of them deserve and need to receive different content. So segmentation is just simply, as you said, Susanna, slicing the onion in as many layers as you possibly can, into, starting, for example, with the biggest or the easiest to think groups: industry, company size, region, job role, life cycle stage. Someone that is new to your company versus someone that potentially is a returning customers. They have a very different perception and they need different kind of information, different level of information. So this really converts, for example, your mass email that you would send to 10,000 contacts as a blanket newsletter into a more precision tool tactic. So where the relevant message goes to that relevant segment or the sub audience. So this allows you to do personalization at scale. So emails, offers, landing pages, all of that is tailored to that segment or to that layer of that onion. But that's based on who they are, but also where they are in their relationship with you, as I mentioned, awareness, consideration, decision, where they are on that flywheel that HubSpot designed. And now we're moving into a slightly different way of looking at the decision-making process, but content that matches each stage. And we'll see this a little bit later, what that will look like in terms of what kind of content and what stage. But there are some big differences that might seem subtle but can really make a bigger impact. And I just wanted to say here that personalization is not just hi Susanna, it's again the right case study, the right offer, the right call to action, and that really leads to higher engagement and conversion. If we look at some of the industry benchmark across manufacturing or across specific subcategories, really shows that segmented campaigns outperform general blanket emails, often by 2 to 3 times the click through, and really substantially what revenue you could generate per email, per landing page, or per event, for example. So here, just to have a quick practical note again, segmentation equal personalization, but again, the more precisely you can segment, the more relevant every message becomes, and the more relevant every message has to be. So obviously scaling your personalization comes with a little bit of work in understanding, Susanna, what you were explaining about your ICP, what is the corporate profile, but also who's the buyer persona, and then what are their goals, challenges, where do they get their information from, what are the buying preferences, are they more likely to receive a phone call and engage with you, or would they prefer to see your content on social media when they're ready, and then they'll come and do their own research. So all of those 3 elements that you've learned and you put the effort in understanding really then unlock what messaging you should be sending them. Getting the message right, getting the persona right, increases your conversion opportunities, which then scales the velocity of your pipeline. So you grow your pipeline, but also you scale the velocity of there's deal 1 that will then hopefully populate your deal board. So what we've seen, again, this is a report from McKinsey that we wanted to quote here, that companies that master personalization at scale tend to generate 40% more revenue from those activities than companies that don't. So that can be a big shift. It does take a little bit of work to get it up and running, but with the right tools and using the right tools like a CRM, like HubSpot, in the right way, all of that can then be automated and working in the background whilst you are busy generating leads and converting them at either end of that funnel. One last note, Susanna, before I hand it back over to look at exactly that automation. We always talk about buyer personas, and I wanted to make here a quick note on make sure that you are mindful about not just where the content is, who the people are, but also there are some, especially if you work in different markets, what language the content should be in, any cultural preferences. For example, in Latin America, they are more likely to react to a WhatsApp message than would ever do to an email. So all of that can be taken into account when choosing your tool, and then when choosing the channels that you use to engage. Is your landing page in the right language? Again, tools like HubSpot allow you to have multi-language version of a similar event landing pages, really to cater to that segment within your CRM that perhaps prefers to receive communication with a different message or perhaps in a different language. So just wanted to put it out there as one other layer of this fairly big onion that we're starting to deal with here.
Great. I'm gonna go through this part a little bit fast because we're already, clock's ticking. Automate all the CRM and all what Joelle was talking about, how to personalize these things. How are you gonna do that without automation? Especially these days. We've all got the tools these days. If you're on chat or Anthropic or whichever it is, it's So I wanted to remember those stages we had earlier between the lead and MQL, SQL, and so on. I wanted to take you back to the very beginning of it. So, someone who comes onto your website, let's say, they come onto your website for the first time and they download something. They download your guide. Well, that means already that they're a lead, and you start scoring them. Okay, so you gathered their data into your CRM properly, nicely done, automatically, and then you say, okay, on the next, they go into then a flywheel system where you say, okay, now we're going to, in the old system, you had a spreadsheet, nothing would happen for about 2 weeks. But now you can say right away, getting back to Joelle's system, it has to be rapid. Right away, there's a workflow. And you've got a 5 email sequence that starts automatically, and it's spread. You put the timing in, and you say, we're 14, the next 2 weeks, do this. And each one matches a download topic that lead has generated, that lead has downloaded in the beginning. Every interaction will generate a score and update the score. So did he open the email? Did he respond? Or he or she opened the email? Did they respond to the email? In which way, if they responded, that'll up their lead, their scores each time. Did they click? Did they follow the calls to action, and so on? When their score passes a certain threshold, then and you decide that threshold given your customers and so on. When it crosses that threshold, 50 or whatever that threshold is, that triggers them into the market qualified lead and then the sales qualified lead. At that point, automatically, your sales rep gets an alert and says, right, that goes in the queue. You need to phone that person now and interact with that person or check out if they're at the trade shop, whatever it is that they're, and that's, again, there's a personal touch on this, but the process itself has to be automated, given that this is a numbers game. I didn't get quite good stats that Joelle managed to find. They're very vague at this point, but certainly, if you nurture, it's obvious, if you nurture a lead, they convert better than a cold prospect going straight into a sales. So there you go. Next, perhaps just saying, how do you map that journey, that buyer's journey? There's different types of content depending upon where that buyer persona is, where that lead is on his journey. Is he still a lead? Then he wants information. Maybe you want white papers. If he's considering he's grown more into an MQL, he's going to look at product spec sheets and catalogs. And if he's really at that SQL level, I want a demo. I want a freebie. And just saying that again, sort of some of the things that you might look at in terms of generating that buyer's journey. Look at the pain points and what are interesting for them. Make sure that it's relevant to the buyer persona each time, and it's not just relevant to you. Again, bat the baton back to Joelle. Talk about aligning sales and marketing, the famous word marketing.
Thank you, Susanna. And I appreciate for everyone, we've taken 30 minutes of your busy morning today. So I'll try to go through these as quickly as I can, but also I think this is a very, very important topic when we talk about CRM automation and that alignment between marketing and sales. When traditionally, and we see this every day, is marketing is responsible for generating the leads, sales is responsible for closing the leads, and then whatever happens in between, then everyone is kind of pointing the finger at each other saying, I thought you were doing that. Whereas what we're seeing with this marketing piece, and again, this is a very important alignment, is just to make sure that both teams really have the customer as their core focus. So from a messaging to an intelligence about ICPs and buyer persona, everything is connected. Everyone has a really good understanding of what is happening across the board. So marketing, looking at the marketing automation, the paid channels, the events, generating and nurturing a marketing qualified lead. Then with a clear handover to the sales team who looks at the CRM, maintains the data, looks at client referrals, looks at connection, nurtures the lead up to that demo, up to that quote, and then really together managing what's happening on social channel, what's happening on the website, what content do we need. The sales talk to your prospect and your existing clients all the time. So that loop really needs to be closed. Again, client success team, get them involved in this process as well. They know your clients. They know what event they want. They know what message you want to see on paid media, and they know what should be included in the demo. So everyone really here plays together for a big marketing team win. So just wanted to put it out here as well, just a little bit of data on visibility. By having a shared system, and here we talk about a CRM like HubSpot that gives visibility to everyone, I think it's quite stark here, the decrease of the conversion rates from an appointment booked to a qualified lead to then a proposal that gets generated. A fair few gets lost in negotiation to the closed lead. So in terms of appointment to closed one, it's very important that the rep can see the deals, what's happening, reminders, tasks, but then also the managers can see what the forecast is, how quickly we're closing deals. And then this is easy to then report to leadership, trends, conversion rate. So all of these is easy to do when a CRM is well maintained, and then everyone within the team is, part of that marketing process. And this also really helps, is not just to point the finger at where things are not going well, really helps you spot those bottlenecks. Deals that might be stuck at one stage for too long get automatically flagged, or a contact that perhaps is slowly losing engagement gets flagged automatically. And all of that really supports, with intelligent data, a much, much quicker sales cycle. So just in terms of the CRM, again, where both teams agree on what the reality is, whether it's fantastic or whether there are some issues. If you don't have a shared CRM versus when you have a shared CRM, the discrepancy here is huge. So from having marketing, this is the classic marketing and sales debacle. I've sent you 10 leads. I was like, they were not good. I was like, why were they not good? I don't know. They never picked up the phone. Did you follow up with them? Oh, I don't know. This is conversation that I know go on in teams every day. So that's where we really try and work with our customer or corporate clients to bring a tool that allows for shared definition of what an MQL, an SQL, and a deal one should be. And that really allows marketing to have a clear idea of what leads need to be generated, sales to provide the fast and automated follow-up, and then there is very good communication, and there's service level agreement, or SLA, where both teams commit to making this a success. And this is what a real marketing team can then become. And all of this really is about empowering your sales and marketing teams to work together to just really bring success and fast track your leads. So if you're going to a trade show, think about your website, highlight it on LinkedIn. So marketing and sales together. You're launching a new product, just as much. There is a video, put it on the website. You got top of the funnel, got a hot lead. All of these is determined by how the two teams work together. And that's where a CRM like HubSpot can really help provide that clarity and also data that is visible to everyone at every step of that journey that Susanna was showing, from generation to deal one. Mm-hmm. Just a 2-second again on what we call the HubSpot gap, and that's really where we can come in and support. A lot of CRM deployment don't work, they fail. We see a lot of companies saying, we're trying to introduce a new tool and no one was using it, or no one knew what to do with the data, no one knew what to look. So if you implement a new tool, but there isn't a strategy, your data is not really well maintained, and you don't have, again, context of sales, there is loads of duplicates, you don't know how to use the data. And again, if only marketing is using it to send emails, but sales are not adopting it, then again, that marketing piece will never happen. And to me, the most important here is when there is misalignment about what we're trying to achieve as a blended team, that's really where the communication stops, and that's where the gaps start to happen, and that water from those leaks starts to peer through the cracks again. So I just wanted to take 1 more minute of your time. We have a little video here on what we define the HubSpot gap and how can we help you tackle it together. I'll get a second for it to buffer. This video will be available on our website, and we'll make sure to share them as a link. I understand there are a couple of people that are not able to view it.
Cool. Thanks, Joel. Nice video. And I think that sort of gap review is quite interesting. Again, this isn't so much a sales plug. It's on our website. If you go onto our website and just have a look at that, it's a way about helping you also understand where are the leaks in this pipeline. We wanted to give you sort of a little, you can take a screenshot of this. It might be quite interesting for you. So we were thinking, okay, everyone has a Monday morning meeting with their sales and marketing team to discuss the week. Here's a couple of things you could take to that Monday morning meeting. You could say, hey, why don't we have, instead of these filing cabinets that we have that nobody looks at, where there's old data that are disorganized, why don't we have a really good CRM, this shared source of truth? In order for it to turn, the oil in the wheels, if you like, is this notion of lead scoring and the stages within the pipeline. And I've put in a very dramatic way, it turns chaos into a process. Automated nurturing is essential in today's world, as Joelle's little sort of chart there about number of leads versus deals won shows. It is a numbers game. You need that many leads to turn into that many contracts in the end. It is a numbers game. You've got to have that automated, otherwise you will get no sleep. And dashboards, as Joel was saying, aligns the sales and marketing. Otherwise, they throw stones at each other. Otherwise, it's, as Joelle said, the number of times we've got clients who come to us and say, well, I generate these leads, and then the salesmen don't respond, or the salesman goes, terrible leads. And you're, no, hold on. If you align yourselves, it works. And finally, a CRM is a software tool. Like all tools, it is a tool. What you need: strategy, content, work, and dedication to it. We have overshot our half hour, but there's a couple of you who are still asking some questions, and we also, I don't know, Joel, you do this. You do this slide. I'll do the questions. Just to say.
Absolutely. Again, as Susanna mentioned, all of this is on our website. If you'd like to have a conversation about HubSpot as a tool to implement, or if you already have a CRM and you want to turn it from that proverbial filing cabinet to an actual automation tool, do reach out. We'll schedule a 30-minute review. We'll listen to where you're at, and then we can really take the next steps and provide you with some idea and some context. And again, on our website, you can find our HubSpot gap review that would show you the methodology that we go through when working with companies in analyzing, where you're at, and then building that 30, 60, 90 days plan. So please do let us know if you'd like to talk about that anymore. And we also, just a bit of a heads up here, this masterclass today is part of a 5-part masterclass. So on May 20th, we'll have a next installment, which is all about AI search and AI search optimization and how search is changing. So we'd love to see all of you there as well. So the page is up and running on the website, and we'll send you a link so then you can find out more.
Thanks, Joelle. And I know you're particularly looking forward to the AI search one because there's so many acronyms there. Geo, AI SEO, all that stuff. I know we're out of time, but there's a couple of questions that there's one that I think is really relevant. which is, does the same. What about Salesforce? We have Salesforce. Is this still relevant, or is it different?
Susan, as you mentioned earlier, the CRM is a tool. There is a lot more. So yes, this is still relevant. Any CRM, we work with a number of CRM, Salesforce, Zoho, Pipedrive.
Pipeline.
Pipeline, yeah. Everything we've talked about today, segmentation, applies to any CRM you're using. So absolutely.
Here's one. I just wanted. How long does your HubSpot implementation take? How long is
I'd say an average between 6 to 12 weeks. Again, it all depends on how much data you have, how much data you need to migrate from system to system. But I'd say for a proper setup where we work together on the ICP persona, building everything from scratch, 6 to 12 weeks, and you're up and running.
Okay. Another last question, I think, and then we'll drive. We have a lot of data spread across places. What happens to our existing data? We don't have a CRM right now.
That's a very common situation that, again, we look at gap review, and migration, cleanup, and data organization is part of that standard initial 6 to 12 weeks. So we'll work together to understand what you need, what you want, and then how that can all be migrated without losing anything, ideally.
Joelle, there are more questions, and I would ask, give us a call. Be old-fashioned and give us a call, or else book a call with us, or we'll answer your emails we'll answer your questions by email directly. We've overstayed by 11 minutes, but we wanted to thank you all so much for joining us for this masterclass. We hope we at least raised a few questions and thoughts in your head. You get a copy of the recording in your inbox, and if you want the slide deck separately, let us know. We can send that to you. Happy to do that. And yeah, welcome to the CRM world. It's fun once you get your hands really, you roll up your sleeves and really get into it. At first it looks scary, but then in fact it solves a lot of problems. Joelle, thank you as always for joining me today.
Thank you, Susanna. Thank you, everyone, for staying a little bit longer with us this morning.
Yes, and hope to see you at the next event, 20th of May. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.